Planet 9 is an atmospheric, first-person puzzle game set in a factory on an abandoned mining planet. The factory has been overwhelmed by a photosensitive toxin, and the light is the only means of safety. Players must use their wits and the light to solve complex puzzles and escape the planet. Hi, my name is Ronan Richardson, and I'm a systems and graphics programmer as well as the producer for Planet 9. Since the early concepting stage, we knew that regardless of the direction the team took, that detecting whether or not the player was safely in view of a light, as well as representing that danger of the dark clearly to the player, would both be two very important core concepts to integrate into the game as early as possible. Light detection was one of the first tasks I undertook for the project, and I was able to implement the fundamentals for physically accurate light detection before we actually started pre-alpha. This allowed us to get a very early idea of how levels and puzzles could be designed, as well as how they might feel and flow for the player. After that, my main focus for a vast majority of the project was creating the dynamic, light interactive fog that we use to represent Planet 9's deadly toxin. Again, my main focus here was rapid implementation and iteration, so initially I created a very primitive version of the toxin that served as a great placeholder and point of reference for early player feedback, until I was able to produce the more visually appealing performance system that you see in the final product of Planet 9, which I'm massively satisfied with.
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm a gameplay and level designer for Planet 9. During production, my main responsibility was designing, greyboxing, and testing each level of our game. This involved introducing and tutoring our core mechanics to the player, and then scaffolding them to create a play space that facilitated interesting puzzle challenges. In addition to the level design, I also prototyped and implemented our laser lightbox mechanic, as well as created several UI elements. Something I was keen on doing during this project was using Unreal Engine's blueprint system to create scripted events and cinematics. I wanted to make the world feel more dynamic and alive, while highlighting key gameplay moments for the player. I'm particularly happy with the positive reception these events got from players, and I'm glad they had as much fun experiencing them as I did creating them.
Hey, my name is Kye Harrison, an environment, VFX, and concept artist for Planet 9. Throughout production, my responsibilities were concepting, creating one of the modular kits, a set of floor assets, all of the VFX, and set dressing throughout the entire game. My main goal was to create an industrial modular kit that would contrast well with the organic flora. To do this, I took inspiration from the ocean, as it has unique and alien-esque features. Additionally, I created a range of particle systems that would assist the hero assets and general gameplay mechanics. Another feature I used to enhance the environment was creating a master material that would allow for vertex painting throughout every asset. Set dressing involved the use of all my created assets to dress what the designers had already greyboxed out. This was the most enjoyable because I was able to be as creative as I can with my kits and Unreal's mechanics to really push the gameplay, storytelling, and visuals of the game.
Hi, I'm Charlie. I worked as a gameplay and audio programmer on Planet 9. I spent most of my time working on some of the core gameplay mechanics, including things like the physics interactions, a bunch of the puzzle mechanics, and the tech grip, whilst also adding in functionality for audio in most places the designers could think up. Since early on in the game's development, we knew that we'd want some way of interacting with both physics and non-physics objects in the world. Fortunately, I had a very simple version of this working in the pre-alpha stages of the game, which allowed the designers to get into Engine and start developing puzzles really early on. I was over the moon about being able to work on these systems, as gameplay programming is where I find the most enjoyment in game development. However, by far my favorite part of the project was working closely with the designers to add the polish and extra juice that every game needs.
Hey guys, my name is Jake. I am a narrative and puzzle designer for Planet 9, and throughout the production of the game, my main responsibilities were designing, testing, and updating the community about the progress of the game. I chose to work in these certain areas as narrative design has always been something that I am very interested in. I know that due to the scope of the game and time frame we had, I couldn't do too much of that. However, I decided that I would create some data logs that would give the player some backstory and help shape the world. I also loved creating the puzzle section that involved my two rooms. The process of greyboxing, constantly testing, and refining layouts was something that I enjoyed more than I thought I would. And coming up with the puzzles was definitely at times very taxing, but it felt very nice when I got it working the way it was supposed to. I also did a developer update for the first 10 weeks of production. However, once we hit beta, I had to put the weekly devlogs on the back burner and really knuckle down on completing the game. I also got to work on the trailer for the game. The trailer was one of the final things that I worked on, and the whole process from storyboarding to filming to editing and refining is something that I love doing. I also did learn a lot about Unreal whilst working on Planet 9. Previously, I had only had experience with Unity, but Unreal was very easy to pick up and use. I'm still not 100% with creating blueprints, but I did learn a lot about the level sequences and sculpting tools.
Hello. My name is Petra, and I'm one of the artists for Planet 9. So I was responsible for making the player's hand and animations, compiling materials into trim sheets, making and finding decals to use, as well as creating lots of the set dressing items splattered across the scenes. The player hand was so much fun to make, with a supportive team inputting with possible colour combinations and animation feedback. But I also have a special fondness for the corpses and posing them. I also worked alongside Kye Harrison to assist him in set dressing the scenes.
I'm Noah, a gameplay and systems programmer working on Planet 9. Throughout the project, I took on a sort of odd jobs role, filling in holes created by our scope increasing. I created secondary mechanics to begin with, such as conveyor belts, and then moved on to various systems like animation blueprints for the main character and saving system. This is my first project in Unreal, and the conveyor belts were my first task, so naturally they took the longest to make. I wanted to make something where the designers could place a conveyor anywhere in the scene, in any shape, and I'd seen examples of it online, of like open world developers using similar systems for roads and fences. This ended up being more simple and difficult than I thought, running into many literal hitches along the way, but it forced me to learn a lot about the engine, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
Hey, I'm Will, one of the designers from Planet 9. So my primary job was to overlook the creation and documentation of audio assets, alongside being the middleman between Team Nova and the CIT sound designers who helped along the project. I mixed majority of my sounds using Audacity alongside setting them up correctly with Unreal cues. I also worked on gameplay design, level design, UX design. I hosted a few public playtesting sessions and did other design tasks with the key focus of improving the game. What kept me motivated throughout the project was knowing that every other one of my team members were putting their all into the project. When creating the dual sounds, that was my first time mixing Foley with pre-existing assets, and I'm most proud of the asset as I felt it was my personal tipping point from student to somewhat professional. The most important stuff I learned on the project was how to properly set up sound cues and use their available tools, how to work with an external team and plan around the risks involved, and then I also learned how to gather Foley and then mix said Foley with other sounds. And over the course of the project, I improved my skills in Unreal Engine, sound design, level design, and audio mixing.
Hello, my name is Connor and I'm one of the artists for Team Nova working on Planet 9. Throughout the development of Planet 9, I was responsible for the creation and integration of a few things. This includes the creation of both the art bible and the art asset list, with the assistance from the other artists in the team, the making of one of the modular environment kits, blocking out the initial levels in Unreal, material creation, and acquiring textures that will be used in the trim sheets. This whole experience has been magnificent from start to end. Though I've been absent for some time due to work commitments, the thing I am most proud of out of the entire production is how the game has grown from a simple idea crafted over a weekend into the game that you see now.
Hi, I'm Marcus and I worked on creating all the UI for Planet 9. Being my first time using Unreal Engine, learning the Unreal Engine widgets system and blueprints, and how best to create all the UI for our project was how I spent most of my time. I came into production knowing that my time available for working on the larger sections of the project would be shortened by October, by the arrival of my first child. With this in mind from the start, I was given all of the UI programming to work on, and I'm proud of the fact that I was able to complete all of my given tasks, even when my new family needed me, meaning I took a month off. My initial mindset towards only working on UI and not getting to create any gameplay systems or mechanics was that it would become monotonous. However, upon learning more about how best to use UMG in creating UI, I found it really enjoyable and something I want to pursue, and I'm rather pleased with how the UI for Planet 9 developed over the course of the production.
Hi, my name is Lachlan. I'm one of the artists for Planet 9. Throughout this development, my responsibilities were doing some of the concept art, mostly for the flora, and making them into 3D assets. I also did the UI for the main menu, pause menu, data logs, and the art for the loading screen. The concepting and UI were the most enjoyable thing I did in this production. Working with all the other artists and getting feedback from other team members to nail down a specific design, the color palette, and then making them into assets.
Planet 9 is available for free on our itch page. The team would love for you to give it a play and let us know what you think.
Lockdown engaged. Danger levels of planetary toxin detected.